So let's put what we have learned into practice. So using those steps that we have actually learned, let's solve these equations. So the first equation, we have x into x minus 3, which is equals to 10. So the first thing that we have to do is to write our equation in the standard form. So we will have x multiplied by x and x multiplied by minus 3. So we are going to have x squared minus 3x, which is equals to 10. So our equation is not in standard form yet, so we need to write it in standard form. So we are going to have x squared minus 3x minus 10, which is equals to 0. And then the second step is actually finding out if there's any common factor here. So you can see that there's no common factor. The equation is already in simple form. So we go to our third step, which is factorization. So we write our two brackets, and then after that we put an x. So you have to find two values that when you multiply them, they give you minus 10. And those factors, when you add them, they have to give you this middle number, which is minus 3. So let's find out the factors of 10. So 10 has the following factors. You can have 5 multiplied by 2. It will give you 10. And you will have 10 multiplied by 1. It will also give you 10. So we have to play around with our signs so that we get negative 10. So we have to look for values that when we add them, we multiply them, they give us negative 10. And if we add them, they give us negative 3. So that is possible if this 5 is negative. This is because minus 5 multiplied by 2 is equals to negative 10. And if you say negative 5 plus 2, you're going to get your negative 3, which is our middle value. So you're going to take this negative 5 and this 2 and put it in the brackets. So you have x minus 5 and x plus 2. So after finding these factors, now we are actually ready to solve for x. So you can equate this to 0 and also equate this to 0. So you will have x minus 5 is equals to 0, or x plus 2 is equals to 0. So if you solve for x, you will have x, which is equals to 5, or x is equals to negative 2. And then we go to our fifth step of solving quadratic equations, which will be substituting your answers into the original equation. So if I substitute 5 into the original equation, I'm going to have 5 into 5 minus 3, which is equals to 10. And then if I solve the bracket, I'm going to have 5 into 2, which is equals to 10, and then remove the bracket by multiplying. I'm going to get 10, which is equals to 10. So the equation is satisfied. Our left hand side is equals to our right hand side. So if I substitute minus 2 also into the original equation, I am going to have minus 2 into minus 2 minus 3, which is equals to 10. So if I solve what is in the bracket, I'm going to have minus 2 into minus 5, which is equals to 10. And then I'm going to have minus 2 multiplied by minus 5, which is equals to 10 as well. So 10 is equals to 10. And our equation is satisfied. So our left hand side is equals to the right hand side. And then we go to our sixth step. So in the last step, basically what you do, you just say that therefore x is equals to 5 or x is equals to -2, and you are done. So the second problem that we have is 2x squared minus 5x minus 12, which is equals to 0. So the first thing that we need to do in steps of solving quadratic equations, we have to write our equation in standard form. But if you take a look at this equation, it is already in standard form. So we move to the second step, which is finding the common factor of all the terms that are found in this equation. There's no common factor. And then we go to the third step, which is factorization. So we need to find factors. So we write our two brackets as usual. We have 2x this side and x this side, because 2x multiplied by x is equals to this 2x squared. So the next thing to do is to find the factors of -12. So you have -6 multiplied by 2, which is equals to -12. You can have -4 multiplied by 3, which is equals to -12. You can have -12 multiplied by 1, which is equals to -12. So the trick here is basically the fact that if you have an a that is more than 1, it means that you already have 2 here. So because you already have 2, you have to make sure that you choose the factors with the lowest numbers as possible. So in this case, the factors with lowest numbers or lowest factors is this one. So let's put them into use. So I am going to take my -4 and +3 and put them into the brackets. So I'm going to have 2x plus 3 and x minus 4, which is equals to 0. So you need to check if your factors are actually correct. So if you take 2x multiplied by x, you get 2x squared. And also if you take 2x multiplied by -4, you're going to have -8x. And if you take +3 multiplied by x, you're going to have +3x. And if you take your 3 again and multiply it by -4, you're going to have -12, which is equals to 0. So if we simplify this, we will have 2x squared minus 8x plus 3x, it's -5x minus 12, which is equals to 0. This means that our factors are actually correct. But be sure to do this on the side, not on the equation itself, when you are answering some questions on a test. So now we go to our fourth step, which is solving for x. So you will equate your 2x plus 3 to 0 and say or x minus 4 is equals to 0. And then we solve for x. So for this one you are going to have 2x, which is equals to -3, and you divide by 2 on both sides to get an x. So you have x, which is equals to -3 all over 2. And then for x minus 4, basically you will have x, which is equals to 4. And then basically what you need to do after finding the x values, you just need to substitute them into the original equation to find if the left hand side is equals to the right hand side. and say therefore x is equals to minus 3 over 2 or x is equals to 4.